Hello, my friends, and welcome back to our stories of the parables of Jesus. This is week 9 already. I can't believe it. I've had a lot of fun telling you these stories. I hope you've enjoyed listening to them, and I hope you've learned something so that your lives will honor God and you'll be at peace with all your neighbors. Oh, I forgot to tell you. If you're new to joining me, I'm Pastor Mark of Clinton Avenue Reformed Church, Bergenfield, New Jersey. And it is my pleasure to tell you these wonderful stories of Jesus. Today, we're going to hear a rather nasty story called the story of the wicked tenants. Now, do you know what a tenant is? A tenant is someone who rents. Like perhaps you don't own your own home as a family. Maybe you rent an apartment or rent a house to live in. Or if you own an investment property, perhaps you rent it out to other people. They are your tenants. So, this story is about tenants. They rented some land from the landowner. They were very, very wicked people. They were mad because they didn't own the land. They rented the land, and every year they had to pay the rent to the landowner. And they wanted this land for themselves. So they schemed up a plot that they just weren't going to pay the rent and they were going to pretend that they owned this land. So the landowner sent some of his servants to go and collect the rent. And they went to these tenants and said, "Hi, folks, the rent's due. Give me the rent money for the master." They said, "No, we're not paying you rent." They said, "Excuse me, you're renting the land from the landowner. It's time to pay the rent." And they said, "No, we're not going to do it." And the servants persisted and said, "You owe this money. So you are going to pay the rent." And they got so mad, these tenants did, that they attacked the servants. They actually were violent against them. They attacked them and they killed the servants. Well, this landowner obviously was very, very, very angry. He said, this is not going to fly. So he said, "Well, they don't respect my servants. Maybe they'll respect my son." So he sent his son to collect the rent. And the son came and said, "Hi, guys, that was not cool. You attacked those servants. But my dad is owed the rent, and you're going to pay me the rent." And these wicked tenants, they were really, really wicked. They said, "Oh, really? You think so, huh?" They said to each other, "If we kill this guy, maybe we can inherit this land and we'll call it ours." Well, they wound up killing the son. Well, now the landlord was enraged. Do you blame him? I don't blame him. I'd be enraged too. I mean, the man loved his son. Now his son was killed over rent money. Well, this landowner, he put a real big force of servants, more like an army together. And he went over there and he kicked those tenants around and got his money and threw them right off the land. That's a horrible story, isn't it? But it's an illustration. See, what it means is God owns the earth, God owns the universe. We make a mistake if we say, this is ours. Everything we have really is a gift from God. Yes, we can say that we've worked for it, of course, and God wants us to be hardworking. But there are plenty of people around the world who work just as hard but have less than we do. Many of the people who immigrate to our country realize that this country, hard work does pay off. God has blessed us richly. Whenever we have a meal, let's thank God for it. Whenever we wake up to our beautiful homes, let's thank God that we have those homes. Sometimes we say, I wish I had a bigger house. I do that sometimes. Or I wish I had more money in the bank. Or I wish I had more stuff. No, we've got enough. Every day, let's thank God for it. And one way we thank God is we give money to God's church or God's mission activities. And we thank God constantly. If we think we own the place, we own the universe, well, just like those wicked tenants, God's going to have some things to say to us, and they're not going to be pretty. God gets angry if we start thinking that the vineyard is ours. God gets angry if we mistreat God's servants. God sure got angry when Jesus was killed. And the people responsible for that, I'm sure, had a big punishment. So when you wake up tomorrow, instead of saying, hey, this is my life, say, God, thank you for this life you gave me. What do you want in return? When you wake up healthy tomorrow, say, God, thank you for this health you've given me. What can I do for you in return? When you eat a fabulous meal around your family table, don't ever say, oh, I want something else. No, be thankful for the wonderful meal you've been given. And then ask your family members, what can I do for you? And ask God, what can I do for you? Because I'm so thankful for this life I have. The wicked tenants thought they owned things. We know better. We know God owns everything. And we owe God our gratitude, our loyalty, our love. And when we start living lives like that, it's amazing how much God will bless us in return when we show him respect and love. Well, that is the story of the parable of those wicked tenants and how they got punished in the end. Because God takes injustice and violence very seriously. Let's be filled with gratitude each and every day. And may God bless you richly this day and this whole week to come. I will see you next week for our next parable of Jesus. This is Pastor Mark of Clinton Avenue Reformed Church, praying that God will bless you and you'll learn lessons from these parables.